Everybody.
Right.
Hello.
Boy, if three's a crowd.
Okay, Aladdin or Rocketman for... Oh, Rocketman. Okay.
Nice.
No, let's talk about Rocketman because we actually want to talk about Rocketman. And then when we end up cutting it short, it'll be for Aladdin that we didn't even like.
If you couldn't tell, tonight we did a double feature
Aladdin,
of Rocketman and Aladdin.
It was a very musical night. We didn't do any befores because, honestly, I didn't know if I was going to feel strongly enough about either of these movies to review them. But I'd say I have strong opinions about both. We can go around and give general impressions first. I am very pleasantly surprised. I thought that I would like the movie, but if Bohemian Rhapsody, which is a movie that I hate, was any indication, I was nervous. However, I also thought that the trailers looked better. It looked like it had this really cool kind of trippy element. And oh boy, did it. It was actually right up my alley as far as anything I would ever want to see out of one of these movies. And I like how out of the box and personal that it felt. So I was really happy with it.
So I can't really speak for everybody in the car. I'm a pretty big Elton John fan. And I would say the majority of what I liked about this movie was the fact that I did get to listen to his songs. Different versions of his songs, and I appreciated some of the ways that they did them. Some other ways I was like, let's just leave it to Elton. I wasn't completely blown away by it like some other people have said, but I did enjoy it. Yeah.
I'm just a casual Elton John fan. I was not expecting a full-blown musical going in, but pretty much right from the beginning it was you get it gets thrown in your face. But I love musicals, so I didn't dislike that part. I actually really liked this movie. I really liked that it was very raw, very emotional, very gritty, very flashy as well. Like, obviously like Elton is, with the costume design. I'm very happy with what Taron was able to do as well. I really hope that this movie is kind of his coming out as a serious actor. You really get a lot from Taron, and I really loved it. So
I was there for the gay sex.
Me too.
I really appreciate it.
I was really excited for the gay sex.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to think of a way to say my thoughts without sounding like I'm saying almost the same thing that Oliver just said. Going into this movie, I was kind of apprehensive. Just the idea of a biopic about a musician was not at all enticing to me anymore after Bohemian Rhapsody. But, there's some stuff in the trailers that I thought might look interesting. And it did deliver. I enjoyed it more than I thought that I would.
All right. Well, being an immensely huge Elton John fan like Britt, this movie presents itself as a biopic from the trailers, but actually plays out more like a straightforward musical. It breaks many of the rules that that biopics hold. Like, I wasn't expecting that many supernatural elements to be present in the movie. Also, as a big Elton John fan, I was a little annoyed by how some of the songs were presented out of chronological order, but at the same time, I could tell that Elton John himself had a huge role in producing this movie, as there are few other movies I've seen that were, that personal and connected to the figure it's presenting its tale about.
It's more of a Broadway adaptation of Elton John's life put into a movie.
And while a lot of the things about Elton John's life are kind of changed here, but it doesn't even matter what they give you or not, because what you get is still clear fingerprints from Elton John being very honest, if anything, about how he feels about everybody and how things played out in his head. Because the movie's really the world according to Elton John.
And the world against Elton John.
Right. And how he visualizes things in his head, which is why it's a musical, which is why it's so dramatic, which is why it's not a straightforward biopic. And I think I'd take that over any just musician movie any day. Because when you get to the end of it, I keep saying it's a personal story, but it really is like just a guy breaking down, here's how this person affected me, and here's how I feel about that.
See, and I don't want to come off as the person that didn't like this movie, because I did definitely like a lot of the elements of the movie. I just feel like if you took, which we all collectively, I don't know about you though, Ethan, but this group collectively didn't like Bohemian Rhapsody.
I mean, I liked it.
I did not like Bohemian Rhapsody either.
if Bohemian Rhapsody is all the way over here,
Right.
and
Choking me out.
ROCKETMAN is all the way, I would go past this, but now you can only see. And ROCKETMAN is all the way over here. I feel like somewhere in the middle could have, where Jeremy is, somewhere in a Jeremy vicinity, could have been like, I think the perfect biopic for that era.
Sure.
I don't think that this was it.
Where this takes liberties in a lot of the same ways that Bohemian Rhapsody does, the intentions are different, so it's more acceptable. Because Bohemian Rhapsody, you look at the movie and you can tell it's a bunch of guys stroking their ego, trying to make themselves seem more important in the band that they were in.
There's definitely some ego stroking in this movie.
Oh, there's some stroking in this movie. But this movie, it changes a lot of things more to be entertaining and to tell you the story it's trying to get across.
Which was our biggest complaint about Bohemian Rhapsody, is that it was changing things in the movie,
and
but they weren't entertaining. It was boring. Yeah.
If I want to learn, I'll go on the internet, I'll buy a book, I'll watch a documentary, right. But if I'm going to a movie, I expect to be entertained. And this movie is nothing if not entertaining. I had so much fun just watching it. I didn't care what the real facts were, but there's sequences in this movie that are straight up just beautiful. Like when he's singing ROCKETMAN and formulating the song. I could watch that over and over again, that sequence.
I think it's advantageous that the subject of the film was still alive during production, as opposed to Bohemian Rhapsody, whereas like the main subject of the film has been dead for over 20 years.
And I think they're lucky in that they have not only somebody who's alive, but somebody, I'm sorry, I know I keep talking, but somebody who is also willing to admit to a lot of their faults.
Yes.
Right.
He's just spilling his guts out.
I'm just thinking that maybe the reason that it was made more into like a musical is because he's still alive, and is because they can kind of end it on a positive note, whereas like all these other biopics, it has that underlying sadness because they're dead.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you're just kind of sad. You're like, oh, that was great, but this person's dead.
And that's why Bohemian ended the way it did.
Right. Whereas this one is, oh, this is great because he's still alive, and he was able to make this to say, this is who I am, and this is how I became to be who I am.
Right.
And here's an entertaining way for me to tell you that story. One of the main things that I did not like, however, the last scene is him in AA, and he's talking to all these people who are in his life, and they all just kind of start walking in, and he's like, basically, it felt like it was just coming straight from Elton John's mouth and through Taron Egerton, and it's just like, here's me just talking to all these people that I know. I'm airing my grievances, and I'm done with everybody like after this, and now I'm gonna go on and live my life.
And that
I personally wasn't a huge fan of.
He was confronting his inner demon.
I understand that. I get that from an art standpoint. I'm just saying I just wasn't really a fan of it.
That actually was going to be one of my negatives, because actually I love that scene, and I absolutely think it belongs in the movie, but for it to just cut off after that, we've now followed him, we got the point of catharsis, where everything came full circle, and maybe it was a little easy, but the movie is also a character study, and, there's not a lot of other moving parts, so it is going to be easy. I just wish we had done something big after that. It's for that to happen, and then, bam, the movie's over.
I mean, I like the way they ended it by it being "I'm Still Standing" and then basically like kind of recreating the music video.
They didn't recreate it. They just superimposed it.
Yeah,
over it,
but
that was weird.
But the lead up into it, the whole like it starting off slow and then him leaving rehab, I had no problem with that. I appreciated it because obviously it it brings a lot more meaning to the song.
And that's going to be a taste thing about how straightforward you want your movie to be, and how metaphorical you want to get with it. I know that I like weird shit, and so when I see weird shit happening in a mainstream movie, it's very hard for me to go, yeah, I don't like that. But that's just me, and I know that that's not going to play for everybody.
My brain just keeps trying to make comparisons to Bohemian Rhapsody, which I feel like is the wrong angle continually to. I like the concert sequences. I felt like there was more to them than in Bohemian Rhapsody.
And I'd actually say,
like, look, they're playing the songs.
Right. And I would say that the angle of it being a musical, because you're going to see the music, why can't the other fucking movies be a musical? Why is the rule that Freddie Mercury has to sing the song on stage? Why can't it just be in the movie?
Yeah.
Because when you really lay it out there like that, I'm surprised nobody else has done it.
Yeah, I definitely appreciated with how they did the music in a lot of the scenes in this movie. I forget what song it was, and it's kind of bothering that I forget. I mean, when he does the concert tour.
Oh,
And they're just spinning
the one
around,
around
and
the-
he
yeah.
keeps changing.
He was
his
singing
songs.
Pinball Wizard by
Was
The
it?
Who.
Yeah, Pinball Wizard. That scene for me was probably like cinematically the way they did it, just like showing the passage of time with, you know, the fact that he's clearly like touring on all these shows and all the different, you know, all the different costumes that he's in by the revolving, you know, revolving camera. That scene for me was, I feel like, was when Taron fully became Elton John. Pretty much for the rest of the movie, I only really saw Elton. And people talk about, you know, obviously with, you know, Remy winning the Academy Award for being Freddie, and everyone's like, oh, he disappears into being Freddie. I didn't really necessarily agree with that.
No, he was like a model more
as
than an
far
actor.
as Taron becoming Elton goes, like, it's uncanny. He really just completely disappears. Basically, the only equivalent, moderately close equivalent of recent would be James Franco becoming Tommy Wiseau.
And that's two people who very clearly were around the people they were playing
Yeah,
a lot,
exactly.
and then went and disappeared into them
Yeah.
because Taron Egerton has a long history with Elton John from Sing and then Kingsman and now this. So they've been, you know, working together for a long time. Of course, he can play the character.
I mean, to be fair to Rami Malek, he doesn't have that option.
This
Like,
is true.
Obviously.
You know,
He just went and hung out by like Freddie Mercury's like grave. And he was just like, hey man,
He dug him up.
Any,
So, bro, like,
any pointers
like,
or anything?
give
you
me,
wanna-
give me some direction, man.
Not saying that this is the best picture or this is, you know, even best actor.
I think he
But-
should at least get a
my
nomination.
real fear is that this isn't gonna get anything.
Yeah,
Right.
I
And
don't
then
think
it's
it
just
will.
gonna be like, oh well, this is why all the
If
movies
there's-
should be like Bohemian Rhapsody.
If there's
Right.
one thing it should absolutely not only get but win, it's costume design.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Especially when
Yeah.
they're showing it at the end. They're like
Exactly,
identical.
like-
But with all the
Good stuff.
attention that Bohemian got last year, even if there are better movies, I feel like you have to put this up for something. I'll take this movie any day. I actually think this is one of my favorite movies that I've seen this year.
Same.
hey, and then if it does really well, we could get more gay sex scenes.
I love gay.
Nice.
This is
too.
actually the first Hollywood major motion
What
picture
about-
to have
about-
a gay sex scene in it.
What about Shame with Michael
Or
Fassbender?
Brokeback Mountain.
Brokeback Mountain.
Pretty sure those were independent movies.
I'm pretty sure there's a point where you can see a silhouette of his penis.
Would that
Okay,
do it
I
for
want to
you?
hear everyone else's favorite parts of the movie. I gave mine.
I don't have a particular favorite part, so I'll just say that. Benny and the Jets, because I really like that song.
Oh, that was a cool scene too. The way that they did it.
I think one of my favorite parts and like an underrated or unspoken of part is when he first gets together with Bernie and he and Bernie come together with Border Song, and you just hear like the gospel in the back.
Yeah.
And that's such a great song, and like to think that it like almost didn't come to be, like, you know, at least the way that they're telling the story
Right.
is just interesting to me. I really enjoyed that part. That was fun. And then I did like also kind of like the visuals of the party at Mama Cass's house, because I thought to myself,
Free love, man.
yeah, I was like, what it would be like to have a house
Orgies.
like in the middle of the forest like that and have fucking teepees outside of your house
Yeah.
that
I
mean,
people are partying.
Go to any music festival.
I've said it already that my favorite scene is for sure ROCKETMAN when he's drowning.
He's drowning. yeah.
That really did it for me, but I'll give a close second because I've already said I just really appreciate how they did ROCKETMAN, but Tiny Dancer.
The film also missed a perfect opportunity to put in my personal favorite Elton John song, which is Someone Saved My Life Tonight.
That's a great
Ooh,
They
song.
that is a
definitely
good
could have
one.
put that in somewhere.
And they also really didn't. They had him sing one bar of "Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me," and I
Yeah.
felt like that was another one that could have
And
had really really positive. I mean, and I'm sure there is more filmed
movie, yeah.
in
Yeah, I'm
this.
sure the
that,
soundtrack has
yeah.
full-length versions
Yeah.
of every song.
And I was a little disappointed that, I mean, I know we eventually got all of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, but I thought that should have been
It took a
bigger.
while.
I don't know. I just really liked all the music sequences. It's hard for me to pick one. I also don't remember what all of them were, but they were all like all really good and enjoyable.
I really, really enjoy this movie. The only complaints that I have are little nitpicks, and honestly, I think that as far as artistic value goes, this is one of the best things that I've seen all year. So I'm going to give this a solid A.
Damn it, Oliver.
I'm a big musical fan. I'm a big Elton John fan. This should be an out of the park A+ for me. I'm only gonna give it a B+ though.
Fair.
I think that there was just certain things that I can't really put my finger on it, and like you do and like Jeremy does, like I think if I think about it a little more and maybe do a little bit more like research, I'll figure out exactly what is causing me to not give it an A or A+. But it's a solid B+. I would definitely watch it again. I did enjoy it. I'll probably listen to the music at some point in time, but there's just something stopping me from saying that it's on the level of like, for me, Mamma Mia.
I think as far as a casual Elton John fan goes, which I am, I think as far as a musical lover goes, I am. I think as far as seeing, emotional depth and stuff like that, which I always enjoy seeing if it's done well. I think this movie does all that well, and then some. I also give it an A. Definitely high rewatchability for me. I don't know how much I'm gonna love the soundtrack per se. I'd have to see how the soundtrack differs from how it is in the movie, but I might end up just listening to Elton John songs instead. But I do love Taron Egerton's voice, and I do think he does an amazing performance as Elton John. So A.
Really, I don't know. I had a good time. I'm gonna give it a B+.
Well, as the big Elton John fan, I did have my nitpicks with it, but otherwise I thought it was a brilliant production, beautiful visuals, and as far as like biopics and musicals go, it can't really get more accurate when the subject themselves is putting everything they can into it, and I would have to forgive all of my nitpicks because of that. I give it an A-.
Real happy with it. I'll be going back again, and
I think that makes our average an A-, I believe.
Yeah.
2 A's, an A- and 2 B+.
much
that's
better
about an
than
A-.
Yeah, it's an A-.
Yeah.
better than
Because
Aladdin.
the A's and the B pluses cancel each other out.
Good stuff. I might watch it again. Who knows?
Good shit, Maroki.
Good night.